like talking as soon as he goes live. That way,
just like that.
Yeah, there you go.
Just like that.
Hey, man.
Thanks.
All right, I'm done.
Okay. Welcome to the Firearms Insider Gun and Gear Review Podcast. We are on episode 232, if you can imagine that. On this show, we showcase gun reviews, gear, and anything else the gun enthusiast may be looking for. We strive to evaluate products from an unbiased and honest perspective. I'm your host, Chad Wallace from the Firearms Radio Network, your source for broadcasts for shooters, hunters, and all things firearms related. And in this show, we'll be discussing some pistol sights. So it's our kind of pistol sight, I don't know, optics episode or something like that. Tonight on the podcast, we have the usual Zane, Rob, Tony, no Sean, because I guess he still thinks we fired him. But I guess he can believe whatever he wants. It's still kind of a free country. I guess we'll go into what we did in firearms. Who wants to start? Tony, he's not muted.
Yep, I'm not muted. What did I do? Well, I lost my ever-loving mind because they passed the 10-round magazine limitation, but that has nothing to do with what I did in firearms. What I did was take my previously legal AR-15 with a 15-round magazine out to the range just to check it out at 100 yards. As a dude who does not still have my glasses, I wanted to see what 100-yard man size IPSC or whatever target. Nice chat. I wanted to see how well I did.
And
I did okay. I shot decent groups because, you know, trigger control is trigger control. Fundamentals are fundamentals. So wherever the group was, it was between 2 and 3 inches. I did shoot about a 4-inch group at the time. All I have is a red dot. And of course I have stigmatism. So there are all the excuses. And I had it zeroed for 15 yards for the Minuteman Challenge. So I learned where you aim at 100 yards to hit a man-sized target, where you want to. It was different. It was a learning experience, and it was fun. So I had a good time. I brought it back into 50, and then I brought it back into 25. And I realized I need to get my dang glasses because I can't see.
Okay, I gotcha. Well, it sounds like you did something entertaining. So, yeah, I can't see either. All I see is a big blob, so it's got to be like one of those 1,000-yard targets at like 100 without my glasses, and then I can maybe hit the target.
It was what did Mike Lamb, who no one said his name in like a year and a half to 2 years, used to call it gun yoga. I just wanted to go and relieve some of the stress of the stupidity of what's happening in Jersey. So just doing some nice slow fire, controlling my breathing, doing the trigger control, all that, walking yourself through it. To me, it's a stress reliever.
Yeah, I completely agree. Okay, let's see. Rob, what'd you do?
Let's see. In guns, nothing. I took another week off for just to have fun because I got my bike out of the shop and I pretty much spent most of the weekend in the gym and riding my bike. And it did make me think that I need to reevaluate my EDC setup because now that I'm back riding motorcycles again, I need to get a better way to carry a gun on a motorcycle because the last thing I want to do is if I have an accident. The last accident I had, I got ejected from my bike, so I tumbled through the intersection. I don't want to become like that FBI agent out in Colorado who dropped his gun when he decided to do jump splits.
Well, maybe you should opt for one of those positive retention holsters or something.
Yeah, I'm thinking about that. I don't know if that's the way I want to go, but the problem is most of those are outside the waistband. And
yeah,
I lived in North Carolina, wasn't a big deal. What?
Bang bra. Get the bang bra. You're gonna be great.
Yeah.
You know, I have a vest back when I used to ride, and it had a pocket to carry a gun in. I never used it because I kind of thought that was stupid, but it did completely keep the gun enclosed. I just carried appendix back when I rode, but yeah, I can see you don't want to be the next guy to sling a gun into someone's bumper.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
nice.
Maybe he should just mount it on the fender and then it's already there.
Oh God, I saw that. Oh man, I saw that picture.
You saw that,
I
right?
did not see that. I got it.
It was like dual H. It was dual HKs, if I remember correctly. Like just in this cheap Kydex, just bolted straight to the. It was terrible.
No retention whatsoever either.
Like I said,
I think it was in. I think it was Indo that shared it.
Yeah, I don't know, but I saw it.
Terrible. Terrible.
I'm gonna start looking for something for that, and also something to wear while I'm at the gym because, I don't want to do the fanny pack thing. I think that's kind of a little obvious.
Yeah, so,
I
have a great idea. If people have ideas for you, Rob, they can post it on the Facebook post or the Instagram post for episode 232, and then you can see them.
I'll tell you what, though, for carrying in like gym clothes, I either will throw my little 38 in my pocket in a pocket holster. Don't put guns in your pocket, people, without a holster. And or I have that holster Black Rhino Concealment made for me has an ulti clip on it, and I can clip it to there, and it works pretty well even in gym shorts. So there's options. You just got to downsize. You can't carry the same size gun. And weight, that's where weight comes into play. And that's why I love the LCR because it's stupid light.
Yeah, because normally when you're wearing gym clothes, you're not wearing a belt with them. It's usually some kind of either a full string or like an elastic band, right?
Yeah, and that's what I'm rolling around. I've been at my house all day and I haven't gone out and done anything. So I'm wearing a pair of gym shorts and a t-shirt, and I just have my LCR stuck in my pocket. I actually just tie the ties in the front, which I know most men never do, but it just helped, and it works fine.
Sweet. So what'd you do?
Not a whole lot. I played around with the with my AR that has the rail that I'm reviewing on it a little bit more. Still playing with that. Slowly but surely, I'm getting that review done. It's been like a year, but I want to give it a fair shake. I want to give it a really good fair shake. So played around with that a little bit. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, I actually got out and shot it's the ABC House benefit match. They have it every year. I shot PCC division this year because I have a PCC that I guess kind of works.
And you didn't come in last.
Well, which means the gun didn't break because I didn't come in last. But there are some guys out there. It's always a lot of fun. They have lots of prizes. Of course, I got a PMAG and a t-shirt, but it's random drawing. So I didn't win any of the raffles, but hey, it is what it is. All the money goes to a good cause. And shot with one of our listeners. We actually have at least one listener. So shout out to Drew. This was his first match ever, and he only placed like 5 below me. So
nice.
Yeah, he was smoking it. He's pretty darn good.
I don't know what's more amazing, the fact that we have somebody who listens to us or somebody who will actually admit to listening to us.
Yeah, it's probably both.
I think it's the second. It's definitely the second.
Yeah. So, yep, there was that. That was a lot of fun. I did have some double fires, not feeds, fires with the PCC. So I'm thinking it's probably the fire control group. It has a 3-pound trigger in it. I think that might be causing the problem with the 9mm stuff. If not, I'll go from there once I change that out and find out.
Double taps for days.
Yeah.
Unintentional double taps for days.
Oh no, they were.
Isn't that also called an unregistered machine gun? I don't know.
No.
You guys
because it happened. Because
redesign, manufacture, remanufacture.
It happened when I released the trigger.
So you have like a makeshift binary in there. Okay.
Yes, that's it.
Now all you need to do is get rid of threading in the barrel, and you just have a firearm, and you don't need to register anything.
That's right.
That's right. All I need is straight.
Get rid of the rifling in the barrel. Yeah,
you just need lands and grooves that don't impart spin on the barrel or spin on the bullet, and you're good.
Yeah.
And then you can shoot Nerf projectiles out of it.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, no kidding.
Oh man, come on, man! I thought we got through several episodes about cussing.
Did I cuss?
I don't
Yes.
know.
Cursed.
I didn't dare him, but
Okay.
I guess
My
I'll
bad.
look at it later. So I guess we'll get into the announcements. Bandwidth sponsor is our buddies over at Patriot Patch Co. Same new patches for pre-order, which are the Lady Liberty and the limited edition 3-pack Firefly patches. Go join the patch of the month because it is awesome. We have a listener support program, but for some reason I thought we're thinking about switching it up to maybe doing a Patreon. So don't really worry about it. If you're shopping Amazon and want to use our affiliate link, that would be greatly appreciated. It is firearmsradio.tv/Amazon. And if you want to donate to the 2A Free Diversity Shoot, you can shop Black Bag Resources and put in the code 2A for E, and that stuff will be donated to Tony. I think he is still looking for an upper receiver, a mag, gas block. What'd you get?
I need a gas block, gas tube, upper receiver. Got a lower parts kit from Ed Cabrera. He donated one of these at the last Diversity shoot. Picked it up from Black Bag. Black Bag dropped it off. Yeah, Zane's one fan, Ed.
Good guy, Ed. Good.
That's not friend. That's fanboy.
Fanboy, Zane's fanboy, Ed donated that. So all we have left are the upper. Somebody actually hit me up with an email. I didn't get back to him because for some reason I can't put that email address, Tony at Diversity Shoot, on my stupid phone until someone tells me, well, my phone's not stupid, I am. So I have to go on my laptop to actually look at that particular email. So it was a couple of days old. So I'll find out what he wants to send us. And hopefully we can get this rifle up and built, of course, out of state and raffled off.
Sweet. Well, I guess it's time for Rob, since he's actually here this week, to do his part.
Hey, I was here last week. I just got called out because my actual paying job said we got an emergency that you have to deal with.
Yeah, that's a good excuse. We'll let it go this time.
Yeah, because Jake and now Sean, they don't pay me nothing. Chad gets all the money.
Really?
Yeah,
I'm still waiting for
all that FRN money.
You know, I'd be happy with a penny, but I don't even have that.
So let us just say the views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the individual co-hosts and do not reflect the official policy or position of the Firearms Radio Network and or their employers. Viewer discretion is advised. This is especially true in live shows, especially true with the three yahoos on this show. So since we don't have an official product review, I think Zane's going to give us an update on some Storm Rider gear that he's been using over the last couple of years.
Yes, that is true. So about a year ago, I did a review on the Storm Rider Gear Underlord belt. I had been wearing it for about 6 months, I think, when I did the review. And it's been a year. And I can say that I still use it probably 4 or 5 days a week. I use it mostly now in conjunction with a duty or training belt. So for those who are not familiar with the belt and don't remember, didn't tune into that show or whatever, it's a standalone, gun belt. It's real thick. It's dual scuba webbing, all that goodness, and it's completely wrapped on the outside with Velcro or hook and loop. I think it's actually the loop side, the fuzzy side, and so you can Velcro a outer belt to it. And I used it for everyday carry for a while. I've since, when I'm just concealed carrying, moved to a different belt. But I still use this belt every day for work, 4 or 5 days a week. I'm still liking it, still digging it. I'm starting to see a little bit of wear on the fuzzy side of the hook and loop, but nothing that's rendering it inoperable or anything. It's still running strong. Reached out to the company, Storm Rider Gear, emailed them, and they were gracious enough to provide a discount code for our listeners. Now, currently, they're out of stock on everything because they're trying to catch up on orders. But once they get back in stock, you can use discount code VIK13 and save 13% on your order from Storm Rider gear. So still using the belt almost every day, still loving it. And, you know.
Well, we appreciate
it. Doesn't expire the podcast or the discount code at the end of this month, at the end of June.
No, he didn't. When he emailed me, he didn't give an expiration for it. So I'm assuming it's going to be a standing discount code,
or at least run probably a little while. It will be in the show notes, so if you need to go look it up later. Also, it's in the main topic thing in the show notes. I put a link to the Storm Rider Gear website, so you can just click on it. The code's right there. Order whatever you want. But
and when the guy when he emailed me back, it was kind of funny when he was telling me the story of why he designed the belt. It was a lot of the same words he used were the same words I used in my review for as why I found it useful. So I mean, it's obviously it's designed for. I mean, you're not going to find a better belt that does everything pretty good. You can run a duty belt with it. You can standalone concealed carry with it. You can run competition with it. It's a good belt. I have found a belt I like a little better solely for concealed carry, but I can't strap a duty belt to it. I can't put my competition rig on it. You know, so and they don't break the bank either. I think they retail for under $50. And then plus now we got a discount code for you guys to use. So check them out. Like I said, it's been over a year. I've been running it 4 or 5 days a week. Still loving it. So, you know, check them out. Give them a look. Storm Rider gear. Good stuff. And I'm not getting anything for it. They don't sponsor the show or anything. So, you know, it's not like I'm a shill for them. You know, I got the discount code for you guys. You know, I still paid for the product. If I order another product from them, I'll still pay for it.
Yeah, and that's kind of one of those things. It's like, I'm glad it's still working good for you, because that's, you know, for people that don't know, we actually kind of updated our product review thing, our main topic. So if we don't have a review, we might have an update on previous reviews, just to help out. People might find that appreciative. And
yeah, I mean, because you might use something for 6 months and love it, and then 8 months down the road it falls apart. And I feel like, you know, we should update listeners on stuff, you know, every now and then.
Right, and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, it could be great for 6 months, and then all of a sudden just kind of, but yeah, I get it. So I guess we'll get into the product spotlight and discussion. This week, first up, because this is our kind of handgun side episode, is the brand new Aimpoint Acro P1 with an MSRP of, we don't know, it costs so much. So what it is it is their new, basically super micro red dot sight to go on handguns, most likely. I mean, you can put them on rifles. But the big thing about this is it is in fully enclosed, you know, in kind of a shielded case, as opposed to being opened like a lot of them, like the RMRs.
Yeah, this looks like it's designed to compete directly with the RMR.
Like, like it's just
it has a full length hood though, which is kind of weird, but you know.
Yeah, it looks kind of weird, probably just because we're not used to it. It's decent looking though. It says it's optimized for pistol applications, fully enclosed system, direct integration onto pistols. It has over 1 year battery life on position 6 of 10, which of course we don't know what 6 is, but it's probably not. It's not like super middle of the super low or anything.
6 is after 5.
Exactly,
it's right
and before
5.
7.
It's also, I was going to say it's also before 7.
Yeah.
All right, just help me.
You can install or replace the batteries basically with it mounted on the weapon. It is night vision compatible.
Yeah, you hear that, Trigicon? You can replace the battery with it mounted on the weapon.
And
Sorry.
it is also submersible to 25 meters, which is quite a bit for something like that. Optical specs, it's just your standard 1 power. It does have a 3.5 MOA dot. Some of this other stuff I'm not even going to go over because it doesn't really matter. Reflex coated for anti-reflex stuff. Eye release unlimited, of course. It does use a CR1225 battery, so you guys can't make fun of me.
So you're not happy about that?
I am not happy about that. It has 4 night vision and 6 daylight, and of which 1 is extra bright. So I'm guessing what they mean is position 6 or position 10 is the extra bright one. The length, this is actual physical specs, which you might care about. Tony's trying to hold up batteries. It is 1.9 inches long. It is also 1.2 inches wide and 1.2 inches tall. So it's
not near as big as it looks. It looks huge, but it's roughly the same size as an RMR. It's a little wider.
Yeah, it just looks.
But it has the full length hood for the whole 1.5 inches or however long it is.
Right, which makes it look in pictures look larger. It does only weigh 2.1 ounces, including the battery, so it does not weigh hardly anything.
What is the weight on an RMR? Does anybody know?
I thought you were pulling that up for me.
I looked. I couldn't find it.
Oh, okay.
It's light.
Well, it's light. Well,
yeah,
2.1 ounces is pretty darn light. So it's made from aluminum. The housing finish color is matte black to dark gray. So it's probably anodized, and they can't consistently anodize it the same color. So you get what you get, I guess. Why? I don't know. Let's see. Windage and elevation is 1 click equals range is 17 millimeters at 100, which is 0.6 inches at 100 yards. So it's not even a 1/2 inch click, but it's close enough probably. Now, okay, I don't really care for the looks of this, and I think it's because I'm just not used to seeing stuff like this. One thing I'd like to mention is there's a little plus minus on the side of it. I'm sure that's for your brightness. Looks like there's like a little hex, looks like a Torx thing for your left and right on top and side.
RMR is 1.2 ounces.
So it weighs basically an ounce more, but for a full hooded sight, I guess that's not terrible, and it's not huge amounts to make your cycling of your handgun off.
Well, and you got to remember also that you're going to be removing metal, at least if you're mounting it, getting it milled, you're going to be removing metal from your slide in order to mount it. So,
right, depending on how, this mounts. I mean, it looks like it's a little lower, so maybe you don't need suppressor height sights to see through it, but I don't know for sure, so don't quote me on that. It just kind of looks.
I like how in the material it says that it went 20,000 rounds on a 40 caliber slide. My question is, where did they find a 40 caliber pistol that would go 20,000 rounds? And how many frames did they go through, and recoil spring assemblies did they go through on that 40 caliber pistol to begin 20,000 rounds?
HK USP can rock 20,000 rounds no problem without blinking an eye.
Well, this
it did 50,000 just to be accepted. So yeah.
Well, if you look at these pictures, one of them is a Glock that it's mounted on. And
I know for a fact Glock says you're supposed to change the recoil spring every
but 3,
it says it's on Yeah, on a 40 caliber, I think it's 5,000.
And then on like a B&T or something, I think is what that's on.
Yeah, but they never said this thing went straight through 20,000 rounds. I mean,
yeah, no, they said it went 20,000 rounds without failure.
But they didn't say it was consistent. You know, I'm sure that they shot some rounds, took a break, checked out the pistol, checked out the sight, put it back.
Well, I don't think they shot 20,000. Listen, if there's a job out there that requires shooting 20,000 rounds a day,
sign me up.
Where do I need to send my resume?
Yeah,
well,
I don't even
those aren't reduced power loads, though. So I don't think you need to get hired.
Nice. That would cut me deep, Chad. I thought we were friends.
Well, it's only 40 caliber, so it's already a reduced power load.
Not for him. It's not.
Okay.
So this site this site is very interesting to me because we need something that can directly compete with the RMR. I mean, let's just face it. That's who this is aimed at, right? And we need something that can directly compete with the RMR. I've not seen a single other site that can go on a pistol that can compete with it. There are some sites that
even the Delta Point from Delta Point from Loophole, doesn't hold up comparatively. Aim Point,
and that would be the closest. That would be the closest. Yep. I know a lot of people like that. That Shield site, I've just seen it break a lot. A lot of people like the Vortex offerings, and as big as a fan of Vortex I am, their pistol sights don't hold up.
I think the Delta Point Pro is the only one that came close to doing what the RMR said so far. I mean, Aim Point typically doesn't make crap, so.
No,
Hollison is in the market too. They just stepped into the arena with that pistol caliber, pistol slide, because I checked those out at NRA in Louisville. So I'm sure they're marketing it by now. But here's the thing: Aim Point doesn't give you MSRP.
No,
right?
I would bet if I was a betting man, I'm gonna bet it's good. I'm gonna bet it's gonna come in right about what the RMR is.
It better.
Well, I'm going to assume it's going to come in right there. Probably a few dollars cheaper, but I don't think it's going to come in much
I don't think it's going to be cheaper. I'm going with, I were to guess, I'm going with they'd probably put MSRP at like $699.
That's what I was thinking. 700 MSRP, fine on the street for the same price as the RMR.
So you're talking like within 10 to 15% of the RMR?
Now, I have a couple of concerns with that full-size hood. Concealed carry might be
tough,
just uncomfortable. And I know a gun's not supposed to be comfortable; it's supposed to be comforting. Whatever. I like it to be both. Personally, like with an RMR, and I don't have a lot of time behind a dot gun, so I'm no expert on this, and I'm probably slightly tiptoeing out of my lane here. But with an RMR, it's a very small hood. So it's not nearly as a big a deal. The hood on this thing is full size. So I'm thinking, especially appendix carry like I carry, that's going to cause some pressure. Is that going to cause any kind of printing, pushing in, pushing out? I don't know. The other concern that I have is going to be holster compatibility. Like a lot of manufacturers are cutting their guns or cutting their holsters to be they're cutting their holsters to be compatible with sights with the traditional, hood. Now that can obviously be fixed. Holster manufacturers are going to jump right on this and start, cutting them for this.
The other thing too is most of the time the holster manufacturers, if they're cutting them for like an RMR, are going the big part that they have to cut out for anyway is at the front. So this is still going to probably work.
Well, what I'm more concerned with duty type holsters, because dots on pistols in law enforcement is gaining popularity.
Yes.
Safariland makes a holster designed around, or not designed around, but designed to be a level 3 holster with the RMR. So they're going to have to go back to the drawing board, which is great because that's innovation, right? We get more stuff, and I like stuff.
Well, here's the thing: every company will go back to the drawing board for Aim Point, for the Aim Point RMR.
Sure.
So
Sure.
not even a big worry. Plus, it has to get out there, has to have the MS. It doesn't have that track record, but Aimpoint itself, the company, does. So let's release it. Let's see what happens. Everybody will work around it because it is Aimpoint. Just like Loophole, they come out with something, people are going to listen. At this point, Loophole, Trijicon, Aimpoint are the three that put out RMRs that pretty much are going to get the market to do what they want.
Yeah. And honestly, the 20,000 rounds that it lasted doesn't impress me as much as it might some. What I want to see is I want to see Aaron Callan beat it off his off his notch wall a few times and drop it from shoulder height like he does all red dots for his pistols and see if he can kill it. Because he's killed a lot. I don't know if you guys subscribe to him or watch his channel, but he's killed a lot of dots on pistols.
Yeah, I watch his channel, and I watch people abuse equipment all the time. If it's duty equipment, yeah, that's how you beat it up, because really it's going to be slammed and bashed into stuff all the time. But if it's your home defense gun or your range gun, you're not beating it up like that. Almost anything will do.
I'll agree with you for range gun. I'm gonna push back on the home defense gun. I think a home defense or concealed carry gun should be duty rated. It should be just as good as a duty gun.
Yeah, I don't buy into that at all, because a whole bunch of people got a shotgun shoved under their bed that they haven't touched since freaking Dukes of Hazzard was on every week live with a new show. So
yeah,
no, it doesn't have to be.
And they're hoping shit goes there. Oh, I'm not allowed to say that. My bad. They're hoping things go.
Same episode.
31.
They're just hoping
31.
things are gonna go good for them when it goes down.
And things go good for them 2.5 million times a year. So I'm not even worried about that.
But I'm not preparing for the statistic. I'm not preparing for the worst day of my life and then everything goes my way once it happens. I'm preparing for the statistical anomalies.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying we need to calm down with, I have to have duty for home. Man, you probably won't even pick that gun up again. I know a guy who has a 357 Magnum. He's never fired for home defense.
I just read a great article by Greg Ellifritz on that exact topic.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God, I almost fainted. I wanted to say so many things at one time, and then I wanted to slap him, and then I just realized, hey, just walk out the door,
man. Yeah. Okay. So next up is some sites from excess sites, and contrary to popular belief, they are not their big dot sites, or they're whatever they call them. Though it does have
big dots are stupid.
They do have a big dot, but they're a standard notch post site. They're called their F8 night sites, and they make them for a few different guns. Basically, it's a figure 8 dot over dot for the night sight system. They are tritium, of course. The front one, the tritium is surrounded by orange, and also that orange, if you hit it with a light, will glow kind of a whitish color. It's a photoluminescent ring. It says it absorbs ambient light and glows, but you touch it with a good flashlight once and that thing glows like crazy. And I will tell you this because I have a set that will get reviewed someday in the future when I get them back with the slide that they're on. So I can tell a little bit more than maybe some people. It doesn't say what size they are, like widthwise, front and rear. So I can't really go into that. The MSRP is $184.99, but on the excess sites page they're $142. Most of your common defensive pistols, I guess, they make them for. The ones I put in the show notes, along with the other set we'll talk about later, I just clicked on the Glock ones because it's easier. They are just standard press in, windage adjustable. I actually kind of like these fairly well. They're a fairly tall sight compared to some of the other brands. I mean, the tritium is, I guess, kind of a bonus, or you either don't really care about it, depending on. Even though this has a wide front post because A, it's got tritium, and B, it's got that orange ring. They put a wide notch in the rear, which I like because I could see light on both sides a decent amount. So there is that. Some sights, on a handgun, I kind of like that. That's personal preference. Figured I'd throw it out there. See what you guys say.
So I'm the only one not muted, so I'll go. I like, when I run night sights, I prefer a 2-dot system. I think I like it much better than a 3-dot system. I have recently moved away from night sights for personal reasons. I just don't find them nearly as advantageous as I once thought they were.
He's scared of the dark.
No, I just don't find the night sights to be extremely advantageous. Under lighting conditions where they really shine, you need artificial light to identify your target. And as we all know, we can't shoot anything that we're not sure of.
Can't identify.
So,
yep.
But my main, I don't know. This is the best probably configuration I would find in a pair of night sights, because I do like the fact that it has like a day glow, something to find during the day. Because the night sights I used to have, it was notch and post during the day, basically. And I do like to have something out there that I can find really quick to drop into that rear notch.
Yeah,
I'm with you. I like a real thin front sight, but I do like a wide rear notch. The way you can, depending on the distance you are, you can just kind of drop that front sight in there somewhere.
Right. I will mention, even though this is when I reviewed the night vision sights, which are similar to these XS sights, you can get them with a different ring around also. And I also liked that because when you're shooting normal, you don't just have like black on black. I prefer this setup with like a black rear, like these XS are, and then something on the front sight, like Zane said. If we're dealing with that, it makes picking up the front sight a little easier.
Yeah, the other problem with night sights a lot of times, and I haven't used these specifically, but another problem I've found with them is the front and the rear tritium vials are the same size and the same brightness. So the rear sight, being closer to your eye, appears brighter and bigger, and your eye is naturally drawn to it. Whereas I want my eye naturally drawn to the front sight. All this could be alleviated with the last product we talked to, because you can remain you look at the target, you don't look at the sight. According to most people, one guy on the YouTube says otherwise, but he's wrong. But yeah, that's the main issue I have with tritium is the rear sights typically look bigger just because of how the eye works and distance and stuff. And your eye's naturally drawn to the rear sight. That's my biggest. And I like I said, I haven't used these. So, I know sometimes they'll have like a smaller ones. What works really well for that is every day before you leave the house, just take a Sharpie and dot the rear, a little bit, and it'll kind of blur it out a little bit. And you can still see it, but it subdues it a little bit.
Yep. I hear you. Tony, Rob, any input?
I've got something like this on one of my Glocks, and I don't think I've used it since I put it on. I tried it a couple times and didn't like it. Where you got the big dot front sight with the little insert for the tritium.
Yep.
I didn't care for it.
Well, that's why we ask for opinions, because everybody's different.
I don't think it's this particular brand, but it's just one of those where.
Right. I gotcha.
One of the big things I find about night sights, people say it as if somehow it lights up the target. If I see the target, I should be able to see my sights because I have to identify it. But I am speaking a little bit out of ignorance. I have high vis front sight on my Glock, fiber optic front sight. That's cool. On my CZs, I just have regular iron sights. I've taken classes. I've taken other things. I've done low light. Regular sights work if you light up the target, and I'm never in a completely darkened room shooting at something. So where
well, if you shoot at something in a completely darkened room, you're probably going to wind up going to jail.
Right. What are you shooting? So
I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, people talk about these night sights as if they illuminate something. I'm like, no, illumination comes from outside, ambient light, your flashlight, whatever. I have to identify whatever the bump was in the night first.
Yeah. So you know what? I think we should talk about this a little bit because it's a real thing. Like,
it's kind of a misnomer in how people understand what night sights do, because as you know, I'll help out here a little bit. There's very little time when the actual tritium is useful for, shooting. I mean, dusk, dawn is about the only time, or certain streets where you have light and you can make out things, and the tritium kind of helps glow, so it might help you get on target faster, but you can still kind of see the outline of your sights, so it's kind of 6 to 1, half dozen the other.
So here's the thing with night sights. Night sights do you pretty much absolutely no good in the daytime. I mean, can we all agree on that? Do you no good in the daytime?
They're just regular sights in the daytime.
They do you almost no good when it's completely dark. The only good thing they're for when it's completely dark is if the gun's on your nightstand and it's completely dark, you can look over and see exactly where it is if you need to grab it. Like, literally, that's the best part of them. Seriously. I mean, I had night sights on this gun for 3 years. I ran night sights on it. Under the lighting conditions where I found the night sights to be advantageous, I needed artificial light anyways. So whether it's a weapon mount like I have on this gun or a handheld like I have in my pocket, you under conditions and distances, that's the other thing. Under distances and lighting conditions to where night sights are advantageous, you need artificial light anyways. Once you use sufficient artificial light, the tritium tends to wash out pretty much so you're going back to notch and post, which is what you'd be using with regular sights, fiber optic sights, whatever. So the exception to that is when you have a target that is, I think it's called mesopic light or something. I don't know. I'm not an expert.
For instance, if your target's standing under a street light,
right? If your target has
and you're back a distance where it's darker, you can make out your target. You can see your sights, but
at the same time, if there's enough light, there's usually enough light to see light between that front sight and the rear notch. Now there is a very, very small percentage of time where night sights are advantageous. But the minute you introduce artificial light, which if you're carrying a gun, you should be carrying a light. The minute you introduce artificial light, it really is a moot point at that point. So, like I said, I carried night sights on my carry gun every single day for 3 years. I've just recently moved away from them. I have no more night sights on a single gun that I own just because I have not found them to be extremely advantageous. Especially during the day, and that's the big thing. They suck during the day, and I mean, I know half the time we spend at night, but there's almost always artificial lighting. I work in a place where there actually is total darkness, but for the most part, there's some kind of ambient light somewhere. So I'm just not a huge fan of night sights. Like I said, they're great for finding the gun on your nightstand, and that's really what they're best at. And there is that real small percent of time where there might be some side lighting, some from here or there, and you can't see notch and post, but it's few and far between. And as soon as you pull out artificial light, you negate that. So sorry, go ahead, Tony.
No, I again have very, very limited experience with night sights, but no one could explain to me how in any way it beat out a light itself, a regular light, high vis sights, until you came up with this whole scenario of somebody's lit under a lamppost and I'm back in the alley. I'm like, I got nothing. Now, again, I'm just going by your word because I don't have any practical experience, or very little. I've never taken a class using night sights. I just didn't buy into what anyone was selling anytime they were trying to tell me I needed them.
Right, because
just at no time I'm like, it doesn't sound right. I have to
you need a $30 flashlight more than you need night sights. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. I need a flashlight that I can carry around everywhere instead of just night sights on that one gun for $125 or however much they cost.
And that's the thing. Night sights are expensive, and I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze. I just really don't.
You're paying for the extra paint.
Well, no, you're paying for that tritium. Tritium is a radioactive material. It has a half-life of like 10 years, so they wear out.
But you're paying for, the companies that deal with the tritium before it's in the vials have to deal with, they have to have their nuclear regulatory commission license or whatever it is. So you're essentially paying for that stuff.
And the other thing is, like I said, that they have a shelf life. I think the half-life on tritium's 8 or 10 years, something like that. So after 8 or 10 years, they're half as bright as they used to be. And after another 8 or 10 years, they're half as bright as that. And honestly, the biggest downside for me is the width of the front sight. Like, and there's a video of me on the internet hitting a man-sized target at 100 yards with a tritium front sight. It can be done, but I could have made way better hits with a much thinner front sight. That thick front sight to enclose that tritium vial has to encompass a lot of your target. When you move to a fiber front or a notch and post front or something like that, you can severely look. And if you like night sights, if you're out there cussing me saying, "Oh, you're wrong," hey man, rock on. I ran night sights for years, and they're not bad.
Right.
But I just found a better sighting system for me.
It's not like the quality of them is bad, or, and you might be saying to yourself, okay, I want them because I want to be the 0.01% when I might need them. Well, that's good enough reason.
It's probably 5 to 10% of the lighting conditions that are out there to where they are actually advantageous. But that 5 to 10% goes away when you introduce artificial light. And if you're not carrying a light with you when you're carrying a gun, you're wrong. I'm sorry, but you're wrong.
Yeah.
You need to be able to identify your target.
That's right.
Can't shoot what you can't see. I don't know how many loved ones have been shot by people.
Hold on. You can shoot what you can't see.
Correct.
And that's the darn problem.
And
because you can't discern who that was you pulled the trigger on. And now, how do you feel that you shot a loved one?
I mean, once a month at least, I get an email about some news story where someone shot their daughter, their son, their fiance, their wife, their husband, whatever, because they heard bump in the night. They saw whatever. They started pressing the trigger, and that's not an accidental shooting.
Now, Zane, I'm going to say something here that everybody's going to hate me for. None of those are accidental shootings.
Nope.
Because, no, that's not what I meant. I meant, maybe these people wanted to shoot those people.
Well, there's some that I've seen are a little iffy, like, and I'm just like, okay.
I mean, there's a dude with no legs that shot his model girlfriend through the bathroom door because he thought people were breaking in.
Yeah,
stuff like that. Yeah.
Or the fiance that came home early from the bachelorette party and dude blew her away. Yeah, I mean, some of them are iffy, but the fact is there have been plenty of 15-year-old daughters shot by their father trying to sneak back in the house at 3 a.m. Don't be that guy.
Or even don't be that
kid.
So
don't be that kid either. Don't be. Is Lance listening?
Probably.
Of course, Lance is listening.
Well, yeah, he already commented on the YouTube video.
Yeah, he's in the chat.
No, it's Zoe that we got to worry about now.
Yeah,
she's the 15-year-old daughter.
Oh Lord.
Yeah. Yep. Okay.
Good luck with that.
now we can go on to something that Zane actually likes, which I put in here, the Dawson Perfect Impact adjustable sight sets, which the one I put in here is serrated black rear, so it's all black, and the front is a fiber optic post.
Me likey.
Yeah, so MSRP is $118.95. I will explain Dawson's Perfect Impact guarantee. If you buy sights from Dawson's and you are shooting some outrageous high, low, left, high or low usually, they'll take your measurements. You send them your sight back, and they'll give you the proper front sight height. But now we'll go on to these sights. This particular one, we already said it was serrated, has a 125 thousandths of an inch notch rear, and it looks like a square. The front is 300 thousandths tall, and it is only 100 thousandths wide. And like, for instance, that XS, I'm going to go with, I think it's like 160 wide, and that's about par for night sights. So the width,
and it makes a difference when you push back 15, 25, 50 yards. It makes a difference.
I mean, it's kind of like with with an red dot sight. If you're going from if you have like a 1 MOA dot or like a 8 or something, it's kind of similar. The 8 is great for 10 yards, but you try to shoot something at 100 yards with an 8 MOA dot, and it's a lot harder than a 1 MOA dot.
So I believe this is an argument that gets brought up a lot online. The stock front sight on a Glock is right about 6.5 MOA.
Right.
Because the Trigicon RMR 06, I think
one of them 6.5.
Yeah. One of them is the same, and it's almost exact with the front sight. So,
but of course, I think they're too wide, personally.
Oh, absolutely, they're too wide. I was just kind of putting that out there so people can get a mental image.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I like that. Basically, let's see. They're adjustable sights with a fiber optic front. I actually like narrow front sights also. I know Zane does. The fiber optic, if you got some light shining through, those things shine like crazy. And like I said, I don't like anything on the back. Like some companies put fiber optics on the back. All black rear, and this one's a red post, a red fiber optic, but you can get different colors elsewhere.
I think they ship also with green.
They
ship with both.
Right. Yep. So you can put whichever one you want. If they probably even sell like orange, or you can get orange elsewhere if they don't.
They ship extra fiber rods.
Right.
Too.
So, if it were me and I'm shooting something and I want a precision fast sight, something like this is great. Zane had a good comment earlier about the adjustability of the sights for like training and carry ammo, and I'll let him kind of describe that.
Yeah, so I've never really been a subscribed to the theory that you need adjustable sights on a defensive gun. But I watched a podcast with I think it was Steve Fisher on it, and he was basically talking about your training ammo and your duty ammo is not going to impact the same. So you figure out the differences, and if you have adjustable sights, you can dial that in so you don't develop bad habits. Because subconsciously, if we're shooting an inch low and 2 inches left, we're going to want to compensate for that. But if that's where your training ammo hits, and your for real ammo hits pointed, because you should be zeroing your gun with your carry ammo. With adjustable sights, you can click that over when you go to the range and go to a training class or go to practice, and you can shoot and be hitting dead on. And then when you go to leave the range, click back to your witness marks or whatever, be good to go. I've always kind of steered away from adjustable sights on defensive pistols because I felt like they're just not as robust. But I think that's an unfounded worry. I had these exact same sights, but the non-adjustable version, basically, because, again, my kind of irrational fear of adjustable stuff on a defensive gun. And I really like them. I mean, I really do. I have this, serrated rear, the very, very thin. I think mine is actually 0.005 of an inch thicker, but it's a very, very thin front sight. And I mean, the difference when I put these on, when I took my night sights off and put these on, the difference was amazing. I mean, I'm holding 2-inch, 3-inch groups at 25 yards. That's on a sandbag. I mean, it's not offhand. I'd like to say it's offhand.
Yeah, me too. But no.
Yeah, right. I mean, I mean, I'm a huge fan. And Dawson, they send the tools to replace your sights with when you order them. They send extra fiber. Like, I've been impressed with them so far. I have a set of Ameriglows that are very similar. Red fiber optic front, blacked out rear, and they're a lot thicker. They don't feel as well made, but they haven't broken on me, so maybe they're fine. But man, I want to get a set of these adjustables, and I want to put them on something, and just to play around with them, because I'm kind of thinking adjustables are the way to go at this point.
Well, if it helps, Shanny, Zane, I have a Bomar adjustable on one of my 1911s that I've had for years and shot USPSA with for years, and literally have had zero problems with it.
Yeah, I'm hard on stuff.
Well, that's also, you got to deal with barricades, and it has been dropped, and so
that's the thing about these sights. They have a good hard ledge on them, which is not necessary. I mean, you can manipulate the gun one-handed without it, but it just makes it a world easier if you have it. I mean,
yeah.
And that's the thing. If you gotta move children, move people, grab something, it could be a thing. So
your stuff can be bumped around, but to this point, at this time, adjustable sights from a company like this are not going to get bumped off of zero or whatever. Another thing about these, though, because I went and I started looking up, they were made out of spar stock. All these are. And one of the things they tell you, even inside the packaging, is make sure you oil the sights also, so they don't rust, because that's not something you want to happen. So read your directions, take care of your equipment. As far as being able to adjust for the different loads, yeah, it totally makes sense, especially if you're going to try to figure out what defensive load you're going to use. Everybody runs 115s through training ammo. I'm not running around looking to buy 146 grain freaking training ammo. Not happening. And then if you go to somewhere like SIG Academy, they want you to buy frangible and use frangible. Well, now what are you going to do if you're shooting frangible, which you never shot because you didn't have to, but now you are? Where does that hit compared to what your regular load is? So you're going to spend a day or 2-day class just shooting off by 2.5 inches left and 3 up.
And the brain, and subconsciously, you're gonna correct for it. Like you're going to,
yeah.
You can tell yourself you're not, but when you're shooting off, you're gonna correct for it.
Hey, now. Yep. Wow, really, potty mouth? So,
hey. What'd I say that time?
Just ignore him. Just smile and wave.
You missed it. But my whole thing is, there's nothing wrong with adjustable sights at this point. And I'm with Zane with this whole sharp ledge to rack your slide off of. I watched a guy manipulate it, and then I did it myself. He just took the sights completely off of his Glock and was able to just chamber round after round off of his jeans. Was
that the Bill Blowers video?
Probably. You know how much stuff I watch. So I decided to do it, and it worked out. I have adjusted.
But it hurts a lot more to do it if you have a crappy rear sight. It hurts more, but you can do it.
Now, I've used these adjustables on the SR22, which is a 22 pistol. They're nowhere near as robust as Dawson's, or at least they don't look it. But I've been able to run it because I was doing a lot of drills, because I was going to use it as my, the holder of my weapons mounted light, because it has a pick rail. My Glock is a Gen 2, doesn't have a pick rail. My CZ came out in the late 80s, early 90s, so it does not have a Picatinny rail light mount. So that's what I was going to use for it, and I do a lot of drills using the 22 at the range, and I've yet to break this SR22, i.e. Ruger stealing totally of the Walther P22 and correcting all the horrible mistakes Walther made with their P22. And it still works. So don't worry about knocking your night sights loose, especially when you pay $179 for them from Dawson.
I will say the only sights that I've personally ever broken on a handgun were the stock Glock sights. I have totally ripped a rear sight off the gun doing manipulations. But that was the full plastic. I've done it with the plastic dovetail protectors they come with. I just got the gun, and I was doing one-handed stuff, and I racked the gun off the holster, and I was like, oh, well, I'm missing a rear sight. Time to get new ones. So
haven't been able to do it yet. But I'm sorry, I gave the wrong price. It's $118 for these. If I was going to do it,
which is cheaper than the non-adjustable night sights you're going to get
from
most
XS.
companies.
Right.
Yeah.
It's cheaper than the XS sites we just talked about.
The non-adjustable version are $78. That's what I paid for the ones I have on my gun.
And if you really want to buy like 3 sets of each of these, then you get the price of the aim point.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay.
And I mean,
maybe.
So when we're talking about sights, I mean, it's obviously a very personal decision. Like everyone sees sights differently, but just understand there's a certain way the eye works, and like right angles are a thing, and you know you want to be able to be naturally drawn to the front sight, unless you're shooting a dot, and then you just because let's face it, the gun is the first tool man has built that we don't actually focus on the threat. We look at the tool instead of the threat. So that's a thing. But yeah, I'm a big fan of the fiber front blacked out rear. I'm loving these Dawsons so far. I want to get a set of adjustables and play with those. If I had, of all the things we talked about tonight, if I had to get one, it would definitely be these.
Yeah.
Of all the things we talked about tonight, yeah. Definitely.
What was that little giggle Rob did?
He probably wants the aim point.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, the other, I'm going to go back to the aim point acro, and it doesn't say what kind of mounting system it has. It looks just like a pick rail, but that's.
I've seen, so I saw a picture of it, and it looked like it was screwed to the side of the slide.
So it's
and I don't know if that's like a standard mount or if that's like a certain pistol, but one of the pictures I saw on Instagram or Facebook or one of the things, it had like a weird, it wrapped around the slide and screwed into the side. Which
Can I go ahead and say this? Can I go ahead and say this because we do hold people to a higher standard when it comes to your websites. Get your crap together, aim point. Seriously. The picture is really non-descriptive. It is hot garbage.
It looks huge. Like this thing looks like a T1 or something in the picture.
How did I have to go to the internet to find a picture of someone with the darn thing mounted just to post as a photo because the thing looks like a television set from the freaking 70s. Can you help us out a little bit and give us some more information? If America's a huge market like you think, could you just translate your measurements and your other silliness into English? I'm just saying, get a Rosetta Stone and figure out how it's done. Get your stuff together when you post on the internet. We're trying to, because the only thing we do, and look at everything on Aimpoint's video. If we want answers about Aimpoint products, we have to go to YouTube and find someone that actually has picked it up and used it and can talk about it. It is not a place you go for information about their product. Their website is not, and it should be.
You got it. Well, we're going to go with there is no listener feedback today, except I put in here something for Tony.
Yeah.
Just because of last week's feedback. So it's all yours, Tony.
Second is for Everybody kicks off August 2nd, Thursday, 6 p.m. Tickets are available right now on Eventbrite. If you want to donate to the Second is for Everyone, you can use our PayPal. Simon Says Train is the PayPal thing. Simon Says Train at Yahoo, if you want to help me out there. If you want to, because, PayPal hates guns. So I find it great because it's not about guns. It's about civil rights. They can't hate civil rights, right? Because that's what I talk about. The other thing is GoFundMe. The Second is for Everyone. If you want to listen to our podcast, it's all over the place now. We're finally on Google Play, Spreaker, iTunes. So you can find us if you look for us. It's Sean and myself doing about an hour, and we break it down so you can catch us on the ride in and catch us on the ride back. We have it broken down into sections. Second is for Everyone is really set up to actually introduce people of every different background, sex, gender, even political leanings, to feel free to come and meet gun people and shoot guns and talk to Second Amendment groups in your area. NRA, ILA used to come to all of these events. The guy got promoted, and we have somebody else coming through now. We have Second Amendment groups from around Jersey come in. This year, we're moving out to PA. We're going to be out there this year. I'm in discussions with bringing other Second Amendment advocates that's on a national level to Jersey to actually talk at these events. We're trying to grow it to be more than just about guns. We're talking about your rights. We're talking about your ability to actually communicate with your legislators. This is more than just guns. This is about your civil rights and legislation and being an American. We're making this big because it is. We stopped as a people participating in the whole political process, and we got to get involved again because that's the only way we control what's happening to us. So that's what we do. You want to check it out, go to diversityshoot.com. You can go to our Facebook page at The Second is for Everyone or Simon Says Train, and you can go to Instagram and check us out at Simon Says Train. I think that's everything, right?
I think so. So we'll get into the...
Sounds good.
Hold on. Let me do my thing and go ahead and, again, tell you every week that I appreciate you allowing me on the show and to talk about this. I think it's important, but I'm glad you do too. So thanks a lot.
You're welcome, Tony. So we're on to the wrap up. Send questions, comments, or feedback to Zane, whatever his name is, at, never mind, different one, gungearreview@gmail.com. Remember to subscribe and leave us an iTunes review. It can be about anything as long as it's good. Oh, wait, we really don't care as long as you leave us a review. We've had, I'm not going to say it is. Some are good, some are bad. It's like, hey, that's what reviews are for.
But reviews do help us show up in iTunes. It helps us, be visible,
right,
and get to
right.
listeners and stuff. So if you haven't left us a review, go leave us a review. Tell me I suck. Tell me Tony sucks. Tell us Chad's old. Whatever. Just go leave a review.
I like that idea.
You don't need us to tell Chad's old. Anthropologists can tell you Chad's old.
I am so glad I just keep my mouth shut during this part.
Yeah, no
we
kidding.
are too.
I am too.
Yeah,
check out all the other shows on the Firearms Radio Network at firearmsradio.tv. Be sure to visit the Firearms Insider for reviews and industry coverage. Check us out on Facebook at /Firearms Insider. Follow us at Firearms Insider on Instagram. And thanks for listening to the largest pound for pound podcast on the network. And we are out.
Bye, Felicia.